Hi, I'm Kat Kalashian for Live and Invest Overseas, and today we're talking about Greece and why it makes more sense than ever in this year of 2026 for anyone thinking about making a move or retiring there to do so. So, in 2026, Greece is really a classic country reimagining all of the magic that it has to offer people. And this year, especially, it's really been asserting itself as one of the world's greatest food destinations, as well as a haven for slow travel and a place where old landscapes are revealing new stories every year. So, whether you're in search for soulful gastronomy, rugged wine routes, or under the radar coastlines, Greece in 2026 delivers a richer, more textured experience than ever before. So, let's dive in. Crete is Greece's next top gastro destination. So, if one region above any other really deserves the culinary spotlight in 2026, it's Crete. And I have to mention that Crete did take the fifth place in this year's Overseas Retirement Index. And so it is not only the number five, the fifth place winner in the entire world, it is also the third best place in Europe, just outshined by Algarve in Portugal and Gascony, a little known region in France. But then right after that is Crete, Greece, which it's notable that it has had a ranking in our Overseas Retirement Index many, many times over the past 10 years or so. And it really is just one of the best places in the world for retirement, especially if you're thinking about Europe. It almost doesn't get better than Crete, Greece. So if you want to hear more about that, you can click that little button to see more about the index. In the meantime, though, let's talk more about the gastronomy here. So it's been long celebrated for its olive oils, its mountain fresh herbs, impossibly sweet tomatoes. But Crete is now evolving into one of Europe's most vital food landscapes. It's a place where tradition is meeting innovation, and they're sitting comfortably side by side in every chef's kitchen. So this is a cuisine that is really shaped by its geography, by its mountains, the sea, and the memory, the heritage, the traditions of this part of the world. So Cretan cuisine has always been hyper local. When I say that, I mean guys went out to their backyard and picked some wild greens at dawn, pressed a cheese made from a sheep roaming the Lefkaori slopes, snails that are sauteed with rosemary and honey gathered from hives perched on these rocky hillsides just the other day. None of that has changed. What is changing now is the level of craftsmanship and the attention that it's getting on the global stage. So young chefs, for example, are leaving Crete or elsewhere in Greece, going to train in Athens, Copenhagen, London, the US. And after receiving that training and getting their accolades, they are returning home now. So they're opening these little tavernas that reinterpret what their grandparents taught them all of those decades ago. And they're doing it with a little bit more precision, a little bit more flair, something that might be a little more in place on a Michelin-starred menu than in a local taverna that you might think of in a little small village in Crete. Meantime, those little village kitchens are continuing to produce these very simple, pure dishes that are so elemental. It's almost like edible anthropology, if the critics are to be believed. So you can expect all ends of the spectrum in 2026, from tasting menus built around foraged herbs and ancient grains, all the way to that slow stewed goat dish that's cooked over embers in a clay pot for days. So alongside the food, Cretan wine and its terroir are really up and coming travel experiences as well. So Crete's wine scene has long been overshadowed by Santorini's volcanic whites, but it's having its own moment right now. And the wines from its indigenous grapes like the Vidiano or the Laitico are gaining international acclaim now more than ever. There are boutique wineries across Heraklion, Chania, and Retino, and they're all embracing these low intervention methods and reviving heritage varieties of grapes. So visitors, if you're interested, can follow this new wine route through olive groves, stone villages, terraced vineyards, and usually ends with a meze around a table, groaning under these homemade Greek treats. Another place that deserves some attention this year is the Peloponnese, which is Greece's slow travel heartland. And it's been so overlooked in favor of flashier islands, but the Peloponnese is stepping into the limelight this year as Greece's most soulful region. It is rugged, yet indulgent. It's historic, yet active and alive. And this part of the country really offers a taste of Greece that feels both ancient and surprisingly modern. Another side of gastronomy that's worth your attention in Greece is something akin to the wine industry. The olive oil industry, if you didn't know this, is almost as complex and as tightly regulated as the wine industry is across Europe. So olive oil culture in Greece, which is obviously it has to be the best in the world, is becoming more of an experience for travelers. So Kalamata, you might be familiar with the name Kalamata olive. The Kalamata, it remains the country's olive oil capital. So it is a place that these olives are named after. And visitors in 2026 can immerse themselves in everything here from the mill tours to harvest experiences, tasting sessions, culinary workshops. And this region, the terroir, which is everything elemental in wine. It's the geography, the climate, the soil, the acidity in the rain. That the equivalent for that for olive oil is called the Ivu. And here it is world famous. It's peppery, green, intensely aromatic. And there's this growing movement to make it as central to countries' tourism, Greece's tourism, as wine is to Provence. So, you come to France, you very much expect to go to a wine region, to bike through a vineyard, or to go to the Champagne region and go to the great cellars. That's not something that has been a part of Greece's traditional tourism industry, but they are trying to make it such. So that when you go to Greece, you go on an olive oil tour more than a wine tour. So along the Mani Peninsula, for example, there are these little stone villages that are just clinging to these cliffs that overlook the coastlines, and they are hauntingly beautiful. But it's between all of these little stone villages that you can wander amongst, these ruins of Byzantine chapels, swim in these kind of peacock-colored coves, and then feast in a little seaside taverna where the fishermen who caught your lunch might be sitting next to you at the next table. So this is a part of the country where it is you can get so intimate with the culture and with the current lifestyles of these places and the current industries of these places. So then we'll move on to the Mycenaean palaces and the myths that are being brought back to life. So the Peloponnese, which remains Greece's really cultural deep well, Mycenae and Epidaurus continue to draw archaeology lovers. But what's changing right now is how travelers experience these things. So new interpretive trails, digital storytelling, open air performances, these are all making this Bronze Age of this region come to life. And classical history is becoming more immersive and more of a reality for people. Instead of just walking through ruins, these ruins are being brought to life, and the locals are showing you how they acted as a part of the community in previous centuries. Nafplio, meanwhile, is famously one of Greece's most atmospheric towns. We've written about this town many times in the past. If you're interested in checking out any of that content, go to our website and look at our bookstore for Nafplio content. But it is full of these neoclassical mansions, fortress views, winding alleys filled with boutiques and wine bars, and it's enjoying this new wave of boutique hotels and creative gastronomy that's coming in right now. So it's kind of having a little renaissance. Where else is Greece shining in 2026? Crete and the Peloponnese anchor the spotlight, but there are many other regions that are generating fresh excitement this year. For example, the Dodecanese, Rhodes, Symi, and the rise of these island clusters, as they're being called now. So these are Greece's southeastern islands, and they're, again, having their own little renaissance. Rhodes, for example, offers medieval old town charm alongside a growing luxury scene. Symi continues to draw design lovers with its pastel neoclassical harbor, while lesser-known islands like Chalki and Tilos are positioning themselves as sustainability pioneers, perfect for travelers who are looking for a quiet, more eco-minded getaway. Number 2, northern Greece. So this is the cool climate climate wine revolution up here. Macedonia and Thrace are delivering some of the most interesting wines in the country right now, with Xinomavro reds and Assyrtiko whites from the mainland gaining global attention. Thessaloniki, meanwhile, remains Greece's undisputed food capital, with youthful, creative, and brimming with Ottoman, Jewish, and Balkan influences. So definitely a place to go if you're into food travel. Number 3, the Cyclades beyond Santorini. Tinos and Naxos rising. So Santorini will always be Santorini. It's iconic, breathtaking, busy. But 2026 is the year of Tinos and Naxos, in my opinion. Tinos has become this magnet for design-driven boutique hotels, farm-to-table dining, and little wineries and boutique little elegant whites that are being crafted here. Naxos, on the other hand, is winning travelers with its farm culture, its lush interior, and its artisanal cheeses. Number 4, Epirus, Greece's wild west coast. So if you want dramatic mountains and deep tradition with zero crowds, Epirus is the star. Zagori stone villages and the Vikos Gorge offer some of Europe's most beautiful hiking, while Ioannina's lakeside culture and Ottoman flair provide a fresh contrast to Greece's beach-focused image. There is so much more to this country than just the pretty islands and beaches, guys. So why is this so important, this moment that Greece is having in 2026? The evolution isn't accidental. It's the result of sustainable tourism efforts and initiatives that have revived local agriculture and have built a new pride in regional identities throughout these parts of Greece that weren't internationally known up until now. Travelers are arriving with more curiosity, desire to dig deeper into the culture. Chefs are looking inward for inspiration, inward into the country, that is, into tradition and history. And small producers are gaining a much larger, even global reach. Most importantly, Greece is proving that its magic is not limited to a postcard view or a myth in a book that we all heard when we were kids. It's the scent of these mountain herbs, the warm breeze that carries the scent of pine trees across the island, a table set under a vine-covered pergola, the fisherman who's mending his nets at dawn as you smell his fresh catches, a grandmother rolling her phyllo by hand, a winemaker pouring you something you've never tasted before and that not many other people in the world will. Greece in 2026 is not just a destination. It is an unfolding cultural story, one rooted in authenticity, generosity, and unabashed joy. So come to Greece in 2026. Again, Crete is our top choice. And if you're interested in learning more about the lifestyle in Greece, I recommend you click on that link on your screen to learn more about our single-day virtual Greece workshop. This is a Live and Invest in Greece conference, but it's been condensed into a single day, and it's held virtually, so you can take it from the comfort of your own home. You can also replay it as you'd like, so you don't necessarily need to be live on the call with us all day long. You can tune in and tune out as you're able, and then you'll get all of those recordings afterwards. We will be joined by all of the people that you need to make your new life in Greece, however you imagine that, wherever you imagine that. These are the people who can help you make it happen, from the tax attorneys, immigration attorneys, real estate agents, healthcare providers, other expats who can tell you their stories and help you avoid any potential pitfalls. I will be hosting that conference alongside my colleague, Sophia Titley. We've both spent a good amount of time in Greece and we absolutely love it there. So we look forward to inviting and welcoming as many as we can for this single day event, the only Greece event that we will be having in 2026. If you're interested, please click that link and learn more and put your name on the list. And I hope to see you there. Happy trails.